Welcome back, everybody, to our final game of the day. On the opening day of group stage here at the EMEA Masters in the summer of 2023. I could make that longer if I wanted, but we'll stop that one there because this is a very unusual scenario. Obviously, last game we kind of said, like, yo, the standings are weird. This is the other side of that coin because, of course, Bisons are 0-2, and they're up against the other 0-2 team, of course, all but Anonymo, who have not been doing so great. But honestly, for a team that looks on paper to be pretty damn good, this isn't where they want to be.
Yep, skirmishes, Random, Merwin, they've been with the org for 2 years at this point. As long as the org existed, they have been playing for the org. Legolas and No Name, of course, creating the top 5. No Name was rookie of the split in Superliga. Merwin winning MVP of the split in Superliga. They play a very fiery Superliga type of style of League of Legends where it's like fast, skirmish, you see champion, you engage champion, you fight. And it just has not necessarily worked to their favor so far. Now when we look on the other side, for Anonymo, they're coming in as Ultra League's #1 seed, which comes as a surprise because everyone was expecting Zero Tenacity to be here, right? But they took them down. And honestly, I feel like they've been missing the mark on how they want to play their games. They will either go towards these very front to back-ish compositions, but they never play for their game plan. They always play towards skirmishes, which is something that Bisons, if you're gonna do it versus them, they're gonna love that.
I think also as well, when you've got a player like Prime, who you've been so used to giving resources and having him win the game, becoming such a threat in the top lane, you're in a group with a lot of very talented top laners, and that's just hard to do when you're up against the likes of Muin, when you're up against the likes of, Destroy. Even CPM, right? Like, yes, he's playing a lot of those tanks, but he's playing them in the team fight so damn well that you're seeing, like, it's not as easy for Prime to get those game-winning advantages it is in the Ultra League right now. And that's not necessarily a surprise. This is the best competition out of the ERLs. But even so, it's just not as simple as they might otherwise have liked. But we are into picks and bans, and one of these teams will be going 0-3. Banned straight away. You're getting rid of Roisin's, of course, Roisin's Seraphim.
Yeah, you absolutely do not want to be playing towards that. Prime's Fiora also out of the picture. Prime did play Camille today, and he has been recently buffed, and it could be something that you can potentially go towards the tops of the map to try and shut Merwin down, because in the Bisons versus Wildcats game, Merwin was the only one on the map that had any significant gold lead over his counterpart, and he was lethal. It was very obvious that when he was in these fights, just him having 1,000 gold up his counterpart was more than enough for Bisons to win a particular fight. So I would love to see how this matchup in the top lane is going to end up. I think we have been very blessed to have a very top lane heavy, if you will, group where a lot of these minus the top laner that from GTZ CPM, who technically goes towards
he's had a couple of really good games. Like, he got solo kills on Sion, was hitting incredible odds. Like, it's just not on a carry style of champion. He's carrying with them regardless. It's tank carrying, and you can definitely do that. Hell, that Sion was scary when he pulled it out. But either way, first pick for the Kai'Sa. On the other side, looking at potentially a Xayah. I don't think that will be a surprise considering they're two of the most, if not the most popular AD carries available. The Ezreal hover, I suspect it's just going to be that, and instead a Rel is locked in. It's flexible, could either go towards Savaro or, of course, towards Chipsy in the bot side.
Now, of course, Kai'Sa's really love being paired up with champions like the Nautilus, but it's just so difficult to pin Xayah down, especially when it's such a timed ability like the Nautilus ultimate, where you know exactly when it's going to land. So it's not particularly something that, you gravitate towards. I was thinking maybe you go for something like a mid-jungle duo right here, since you see the Rel could potentially end up in the jungle on the other side of the... Yeah, and Random does play a lot of AD mids in general. Of course, there is still the Gwen for Merwin, and usually when you're on the red side, you can break some rules on the draft and just lock in your strongest champions, but it's going to be most likely a takeaway right here to not allow Nermin and Tipsy to go towards the Rakan and Xayah duo.
They will take that one away, as you said, and of course, you're kind of now looking for a little bit more frontline, a little bit more engaged to set up for people at this point, but you're right, it's a good takeaway. What OAE are going to go for at this point? Maybe a jungler of their own, though of course they've got the Rel, so they could leave that one up. I could imagine maybe even going for a mid lane actually probably makes a bit more sense here. You know it's likely going to be into the Jace, so can think about something there.
Well, the thing about Mirwin and Random is that they both play Jace, and they have done it over in the Superliga playoffs. So depending on what Anonymo chooses to throw their way, they could potentially flex that Jace towards the top side of the map. Now, of course, I'm assuming since we already have the Kai'Sa locked in from the sort of Bisons, this is going to be something like what we saw with Bao, where it's going to be the AP Kai'Sa with more of a poke playstyle, especially when paired up with the Jace. It's a great poke composition in general. You need a lot of engage. You need something like an Ornn, potentially something like a Sion, something that will start the fights for you.
That's definitely the plan, and of course, we
I
need
don't
to
see
see as well.
Mirwin playing something like that, though. I'm just going to say.
Yeah, especially with the way that they've been drafting this tournament, it feels like they have been kind of asking him to be more on the carry side of his champion pool, for all that it is very wide and very weird. On the other side for OAE, that they are the ones with the counter picks, and they are the ones who can get Prime something interesting on the other side. So maybe that's the angle as well. So it maybe has to be something a bit more generic, like I would have said something like a Renekton, maybe, you know, that you can just sort of blind and go, this will be fine to most matchups. Aatrox in a similar vein on that front as well, especially considering there is that counter pick you have to be concerned with.
Now, of course, every time I look at Viego being locked in right here, you also need to look at the value that you're giving away. So the things like Malphite and stuff are not as dangerous because you don't necessarily steal their ultimates. Like Kai'Sa is not a great takeaway, Rakan is a great takeaway, Jace is a very so-so. So I'm looking right here, I'm looking at Anonymo, I'm like, okay, you've locked in your Viego, give me something that can complement that Viego. Give me a Syndra, give me an Ahri, give me something that wants to take that brawl 2v2 with Viego, that wants to set up for the champion. You can potentially play through mid and shut down Random. Noname and Random have been playing together on that 2 versus 2, so shutting them down, shutting Name down from the get-go could be huge for you.
Especially if you have, I suppose, got the burst between the Xayah feathers and then you've got Spell going in, that works. And of course, Xerath has kind of become a bit of a flavor of the month kind of counter pick that we've seen coming out, probably more in the LCK than anywhere else. We saw a bit of BDD and FLICKR in particular pulling it out, but that's largely into things like the Azir matchup. But of course, Jace, not a dissimilar concept. You're kind of matching the poke with the poke. Hovering the Misfortune, but we've seen that one before. Maybe No Name goes back towards the Jarvan that he did look pretty good on despite a difficult game to play the Jarvan in. Can certainly look to get onto the likes of particularly that Xerath, who's going to have no way out of that Cataclysm if he doesn't have a flash.
I do really like this, and I'd like to see some follow-up, honestly. I know that Mirwin really likes to play his carry champions up in the top lane. It's not going to be the case. He has 3 Karma games in the playoffs of the Superliga as well on that champion. He's gonna go towards more of a supportive role. It gives a lot of priority from the top side of the map as well for his Jarvan, so No Name should have a pretty easy time towards the top side of the map. You've got 3 lanes you can play through. You've got setup with the Rakan, but the Aurelia.
Another Aurelia top. There's 2 in one day from 2 different players.
Yeah, pure raw fight coming out of Prime right here, and I'm wondering if Mirwin's gonna choose to go towards the more tanky build with Karma, where you go towards something like a Frozen Heart and you just purely just a frontline hybrid with an Enchanter in there, because it would make a ton of sense right here, especially since Syndra gets double AD towards the top side of the map. You can shut that down straight off the get-go.
Somewhere out there, LEC content guru Shakaros is nodding his head, going, yes, tank Karma. He's the big tank Karma aficionado from what I remember. And I kind of see the angle there as well, especially because you are asking for a bit more frontline, and you're here to set up and keep your Jace and your Kai'Sa alive. That's
okay, I was asking for engage. I wasn't asking for a Karma pseudo tank.
Look, your point is you don't need engage. If what you do is you put up a big fortress wall and you say, I have a really big trebuchet, and I'm going to throw these big, dangerous, abilities out from 30,000 miles away, and you have to deal with it.
Fine, okay, and I'm gonna shield every now and then, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. You're there to provide assistance. If people jump at you, you put a shield on them. It's great. I guess is the concept. Do me a favor, Georgia, as well, because obviously,
yes,
OAE's draft is a little bit more less themed, I guess is my way of putting it. You're looking at the side of Bisons and you go, Jace Kai'Sa, it's a poke comp and a bit of setup from the Jarvan and the Rakan. And at the end, the Karma's spicy, but whatever, relatively. On the other side, for the side of Orbit Anonymo, what is their comp going to try and do in terms of the way they want to play the game? Because I guess the Viego and the Aurelia are getting resets? I
mean, obviously, Xerath helps a ton when it comes to Viego and Aurelia. and you do have a little bit of engage with the rel. But on the other hand side, I think what you're trying to do is sort of dissipate the engage that's coming in from Bisons, right? You've got the Rakan, you've got the Jarvan, but the more dangerous thing is how do you deal with the poke that's going to come through with the Jace and the Kai'Sa if you do not have heavy engage on your own. So I feel like right now it is very important for the Viego to get ahead in the early game, play towards the top side of the map. Karma can get very tanky. Yes, it can get frozen hard. Yes, it can get still caps, but that comes later on in the game. Right now, you can actually abuse the fact that not only she's squishy, but she's also an immobile champion. Burn the flash early on, try to get your Aurelia ahead, and you can actually even try to play 1 and 4 with your Aurelia on the side lane, because who will stop her later on when she can brute force her way through anything? Of course, we see the grasp as well. It is going to be a tanky Karma coming up in the top lane.
I'm seeing bone shielding, I'm seeing revitalize it and the overgrowth, that whole shebang. I forget all that. I had a moment that I was like, wait, what are the minor runes called again? I was like, I know most of them. I think I misspelled or misspoke to there a little bit, but the point is, very tanky. Horizon takes the wrong end of a to the skies trade, but it's going to be mostly okay. Yeah.
The best part about playing tank Karma is that a lot of players will choose to actually level their W. Now, what you don't expect from a Karma is to heal her entire health bar in one spell. So Mantra W will heal so freaking much that actually Karma baits a lot of people to overextend, try and kill her, and then she pops Mantra W and heals up her entire speed bar.
Do you know what Mantra W is called? It's got a specific name.
You would know that, not me.
It's Renewal is the name of it for the record. As Mirwin, though, Mirwin rather, is going to have a bit of a tricky end of this one as Prime does hate the wrong end of a Mantra Q, the Soul Flare, but Prime definitely getting the aggressive moment of this fully stacked passive.
Thank you very much for that initialize. Really appreciate that.
I could keep going for a second.
After such an eventful Game 5, this game is going a little bit slow. Of course, we're very, very early into the game. But of course, Viego wants to clear, wants to get the level 6, start picking up bros, no name, onto the Jarvan. You want to be active on the map really early on. Usually with a Jarvan, you're going to fall behind later on. But what you do is you make up for it by making pressure onto the map. Right here, I think he spotted Savero as well, if I'm not wrong. So knowing that No Name is towards the bot side of the map, Savero is going to make his way through that mid lane and go towards the top side crap. But No Name is looking towards Royzon. He has to overextend to get these last 2 creeps. He's going to let them go. Go back to base and get back onto that mid lane.
Does seem to be the current plan, and I suppose that's not entirely a surprise. I think when you do the build on the Xerath spell, I think you often use Futures Market and try to get, especially with the Mana Crystal, start a really, really early lost chapter like this, and now you can just sit in lane forever and clear for free. As there was a big engage on the bot side, though, is skirmishes. I think he's just dead. First blood to Gypsy.
He can't stay in lane forever. He's going straight back to the fountain on that gray screen. And again, you see the power of that level 3 Flash.
They get the cleanse. It's going to be too late. Flash finally has to be popped by Legolas. They're going to try and get a bit more out of here, doing a lot of damage. The feathers continue to fly with the deadly plumage, but there's just no pullback. But that is Flash cleanse as well on top of it.
Very good stuff right there. You already killed the support. You've taken both of the AD carry summoners right there, so you can rinse and repeat. You can even call down your Viego at this point. You see Tipsy going near right there, and the root lands. skirmishes can do nothing. Ignite also from the Rel. No cleanse, of course, onto the Rakan. Of course, there's a little bit of a ray of shining light. skirmishes has all of his summoners, but you have a very short range AD carry in lane in the likes of Kai'Sa with absolutely no summoners. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Savero clearing his top side right now and heading towards the bot side of the map. I wouldn't even be surprised to even see a lane gank at this point.
Try and make this one happen there a little bit as skirmishes just gets a bit of a chunk out, but not too much more. But it is a rough early laning phase, and Bisons wincing about that one a little bit. But again, this is a team that was notorious in regionally for kind of falling behind a little bit early. It was at the 15-minute mark. It was a little bit later on where they really came into their own when they could play as a team. And sometimes you did see some of these early mistakes lead them down a little bit in the gold department. But for now, it's nothing too egregious. About 400 gold, which is all in that first blood, of course. Did go over towards the Rel, which is not necessarily exactly who you would have liked it to go to, but it does fund some of those earlier items because, As a support, you are sometimes a little bit more limited on the gold, so getting to those items earlier can feel pretty nice. And does come back with some Ionian boots.
Yeah, you know that Jace just backed as well on the map. If you're OAE, you've got Royzon in the mid lane already, which means that Dragon is pretty much up for the take. And Viego more than happy to take that up on his own. You've got the resets coming in from your bot lane as well. Your bot lane is quite stronger right now. You mentioned the boots as well coming in for the Rel. A lower cooldown right there. More mobility as well for the champion, which means you get on the map first. So, Tipsy, with that first blood, has caused the domino effect, which has allowed Anonymo to get that first dragon off the game.
Indeed. Now they're going to go dive Legolas. Remember, has no cloud flash, no cleanse. Going to get crashed down on. No Name's trying to get over here, but it's going to be too late. They get the kill. And now Neramin throws out the feathers to try and bait No Name into a difficult position. There they go. They engage onto Chipsy, but has lost tower aggro. Will finally go down, but overcome the rest of Bisons. Getting the flag and drag onto Neramin, who of course has already burned the Feather Storm. Severo trying to buy some time, but overcomes the arcane barrage. No Name needs to be a bit afraid here. We'll have flag and drag shortly. Flash out from that one. No Name and auto off. Random goes in. Won't get the kill, and both No Name and Severo stay alive. Looking to try to burn a bit more. The acceleration begins to come on through. Random ends up on the wrong end of a flash engage from Severo.
Okay, that was very scrappy. That was very messy from both teams. Ended up skirmishing. Oh! Ended up skirmishing the ball lane. The W will go wide right there from Legolas.
Jump scares all day.
Absolutely, and the teams are out for blood. Anonymo right here, having a pretty good head start, 1,000 gold ahead on Bisons, and Legolas found himself all alone onto the bot lane. His support had roamed in the mid lane. Tipsy sees that, instantly takes that bot lane dive. One kill onto Neramin, and Neramin...
I wonder whether he thought he was taking tower aggro.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit questionable right there. It might have been a misclick. It might have been him thinking that he's got tower aggro. But even if that was the case, he does have plenty of HP, no flag and drag. A little bit of a preemptive ult right there, because this scenario right here, it would have been so helpful if he did have his ultimate. Wouldn't have to burn his flash right here. But the way they play around Neramin and the way they play these fights in the bot lane, they have a lot of trust onto their Xayah. You see Royzon as well joined in from mid lane, dropped that way to try and get that kill down the bot lane. But again, the objective was to try and get that Viego ahead in the early game, because it's going to be really hard to deal with the heavy engage on the set of Bisons plus the poke. And so far, so good. You've got a kill onto your Viego, you've got a kill onto your Xayah, you've got the first dragon as well. You're 1,000 gold up. Now you need to try and mirror No Name to figure out where that Rift Trail is going to drop.
You know, this is an early lead onto Neramin, a player who was the MVP for the side of the Ultra League in the spring split. The team's changed a lot in terms of their playstyle now. There's a lot more focus towards the top lane and Prime and some shifts in the roster. But this guy has got it. This guy only a few months ago was the MVP for this team, the MVP for his league, and is set up right now to do a lot of work. 1-0 and 2 is down a little bit of CS, but you know, a nominal amount, let's be real. And it could get very, very scary. And all the while, though, Prime has got themselves that passive fully stacked, but there's that renewal. The W on Tank Karma is just so obnoxious. Can still continue going forward. The Vanguard Edge goes on in. Just out of mana, though. I don't think they can get anything more. The renewal's going to come on down, and basically, you've done half a health bar and nothing more.
Uh-oh. That's a big wave. That's a big wave.
Mirwin, where you go? Trying to make this one happen. Flash to flash, the flawless duet. There we go. Flash in response to get out of the soul flare. Overcomes Rusin, trying to throw out some damage, but Prime is out of mana. Random is here. To the skies comes on through. Another auto would do it. They can't quite get the kill, and both top laners walk away. Kind of wondering what happened.
Oh my god, Mirwin also going straight for that frozen heart onto the Karma.
Oh,
Mirwin, I think he RW'd 3 times during that fight, and you can see that Prime without any anti-healing, without any ignite. It's just so difficult. Mirwin might be in a lot of trouble right here, but RW is still a thing.
You tell out the Spectral more. There's the ult afterwards. Oh, the W comes through, and No Name is here. That route is so obnoxious. Karma, when they have these abilities, just so difficult. But now the teleport's beginning to come on, flying on through. No Name in a difficult position. Has no flag and drag. Has no flash. Has no hope, you think. But they get thrown want to go with him, but now they can maybe make something more happen. Does miss the Arcana pulse, but pulls out of range of the renewal. And they're going to surely back away. Random is here. It's now both solo is in a brawl to the death. Accelerated shock blast lands in the face of Royson, and they're going to be surely forced to reset.
That is a level 1 W that gives these heals to this Karma. He's leveling Q and then E. The second he starts leveling that W as well, that Karma is going to be immortal. So much pressure soaked up on the top side of the map. No Name managed to grab a kill out of this skirmish as well. Was huge working. He was literally left for dead, but look at that. Savero does see Merwin really low on HP, but on the other hand side, you have No Name walking up the river too. So they are looking for this Viego. Prime, eyes on Prime, full stacks, but very, very little mana, which means that Bisons pretty much go for Savera straight away. The DP is going to be pulled down from Royson as well onto the Xerath. But No Name, great kill right there. Because if they kill him, the Viego gets to grab the soul and reset again. So pretty good stuff from No Name. That Karma bought a lot of time, buying a lot of time. She bought a Frozen Heart as well. It is no longer possible to gank towards that top side of the map if you're playing double AD in your jungle and your top lane, especially after the Frozen Heart has been purchased. Savera is going to have to look elsewhere for further fights and skirmishes.
It does feel that way, and I just went looking up the numbers because I was curious about them. Maybe I don't have to fight the time. Then Gypsy gets over the walls. That'd be the end of that. The folks, so the renewal, the Karma W, when it's empowered by Mantra, does 17% of your life bar as a heal. 17% plus AP values.
Yeah, seems good enough to me. No Name.
I was like, yep, that seems fine to me. That's perfectly normal.
The end of that. Random, don't get greedy.
Yeah, we'll take a bit of damage, gets away with it.
Random got very greedy right there. Lost his flash for a couple of bladings. Oscure!
Ooh, does get taken pretty low, but Gypsy finds an engage, but I don't know how much damage going to get down. Does get the double match. Strike will go down to 1-for-1. Now Legolas needs to try and run away, but look at the damage coming on through as overcomes Savaro. They will surely fall, but it's an absolute mess to 2-for-2 right now. But Savaro has to jump away. Overcomes the Xerath, though. No Name trying to get the flag. The drag does get the knock when Savaro's taken very low. We'll have to flash on out, but now No Name a little bit deeper, continue trying to chase. Remember, this is a Xerath who's having to try and run away. He gets a bit of a speed up, but the flag and drag is flashed away from Savaro. Maybe looking to come back on him. Would love a reset, but it would be very, very risky to go in any further. And in the end, Summoner's a pot, but it is just both bot lanes that fall.
Random is still there. He's still bodyguarding No Name, so Savero has no point
being
the river.
No Name! Put some respect on it!
Random stuck around. Babysat No Name around that blue buff area and ended up killing Savero. And again, this Viego, man, being at 1.3k behind to a Jarvan really stinks because Jarvan leaves for the ganks, which means he falls behind in XP. And Viego is a farmer. He wants to be ahead. Right here, we'll see again that bot lane. That was a very, very late ultimate from Neramin. It has been kind of like a chain of like very questionable ultimates from Neramin. He could have ulted the Rakan ult. He could have ulted a little bit early. He ended up being too much damage. Waste the flash as well. Hasn't been a very on game in this particular one, and if he wants to give Anonymo a chance to win this game versus Bisons, he needs to really start stepping up. Savero again doesn't expect that No Name has Random around and ends up going down.
Yeah, it does end up being a little bit rushed there. It's into the mid lane, though. This is going to be anything but the shock blast afterwards. It's a dead Xerath. Savaro is here. Maybe be able to reset this one. Would love another kill. Finally goes down. There is the reset. There will be a flag and a drag available, but misses it. Will ult back on in. Random trying to turn this one around, but a double kill, and suddenly that Viego has the goal he was looking for.
Yep, that's exactly what he needed. He was 1,500 gold behind, now only 600, 3 and 2. Trinity Force in the bank, 150 gold bounty even on his head, and Neramin manages to get that bot lane tower together with Tipsy. Prime is now looking for Merwin, but come on, man, we've seen how this goes.
Does feel like gets them pretty low. Calls with Blade of the Ruin King is doing quite a lot of work. Will get a Defiant Dance proc off and force them away from the wave. All the while, though, Savaro is on this Herald and would love to get this one. Of course, the plates have fallen a little while ago. And the gold currently in the favor of the Ultra Liga representatives. Skirmishes is going to come over. Muin trying to come over as well as alongside No Name. They want to fight for this. So in goes a Skirmishes. They get the knock up a Prime. Gets a Divine Dance off for a moment. It's going to take a lot of damage back though. Gets the Vanguard in, but I think it went wide. Too many people on top of each other. It just goes in and goes wrong, but it doesn't matter regardless. The deaths rather are just coming on through. Muin gets out alive, but you lose No Name, you lose a Skirmishes, and Random just wasn't there.
Honestly, Savero loves this fight into the Diego. Finds yet another one. Random has to run away.
Ooh, gets a Thundering Blow, trying to get another kill onto Savero, taken pretty low. In comes the Soul Flare.
Oh,
It's just in a flame, and the Renewal is there, and it's just a dead Gypsy. They tried to get the pick onto Random, but this time it was a bait that worked, and it's a 3-kill. Jace, who still ends up losing the mid lane turret, though. The Gold League continues to just about extend for Orbit Anonymo.
Support for a mid lane tower. I think Anonymo take those. Absolutely, they do. They get to reset as well. 30 seconds for the next dragon. And let's look at this one again. Savero is starting that Rift Herald. He's going to pretend he's getting out, but Tips is right behind him. Royzen's right behind him. Prime is tanking for days onto that Aurelia, and Royzen gets to free hit from miles away. They get the double kill right there. Mirren has to actually use his flash to get away from that, so now he's susceptible to getting ganked, and Savero keeps grabbing kill after kill. Bisons overextending again. It has been the thing that's been haunting them. It works over in the Superliga because the entire league works that way, right? You like fighting, you like skirmishing, so the person who's walking up and has the better hands on the day ends up winning the whole thing, and that's exactly what happened with Bisons, right? They have been so good at what they do. They got second seed at the end of the day in Superliga, but right here, Anonymo are playing pretty calculated League of Legends. They're waiting for Bisons to overstep, and then they just straight up punish them.
At least we're beginning to see a little bit of cross-mapping, a little bit more gold into Random, who is still a pretty scary point in this chase, doing their best to continue to get us back into the game. And that will help cut that gold lead somewhat. They get a second turret to match up against Orbit Anonymous. And you can see, you know, Muin's doing okay. Of course, the Aurelia is farming really well. There's up a significant amount of CS, but the Karma's not really at any threat. And you look at the other side, like Jace, Karma are farming fine. They are getting to their item breakpoints. They just need to make sure that this Cloud Soul that's coming up in only a few minutes doesn't end up breaking them.
I'm just very worried for Bisons right here. I'm seeing again the double poke champs in the likes of full AP Kai'Sa and then the full lethality AD Jace. Fair enough, but where's your consistent damage at? This Javan is not gonna be the tankiest. Your Karma is tanky-ish as well, but where's the rest of your damage gonna be coming from? On the other hand side, you've got damage for days. Aurelia, Viego, Xerath, Zaya. Take your pick. You have 4 full targets to kill if you're Bisons. If your poke doesn't land, you could be finding a rel engage from the side of OAE and taking them down. So Bisons, they need to start weighing the situation right here. What do you want to do? Who do you have your eyes on? That one is Savero. They're gonna pull TPs.
And try and make this one happen. They do get the Cataclysm, force Neramin into a difficult position. Flash on out. They get the Zaya. Gypsy on the other side, desperately low, goes down. Random gets that one as they got the Drakthar procced. All the while, though, Legolas is deleted by Prime. Will make sure to get that trade back, but Savero was taken out by Jace as well. It is a 3-for-1 as it stands. A Shock Blast lands. It was empowered as well, so Prime down to half HP. Does not have the ult to work with, but does at least have the ability to queue towards those minions. But I'm not sure whether the Blade's Edge will enough to keep them safe. Gets a little bit lost there, wondering about where to go. Thinking about playing this one out, but there's just nowhere out. Will be flagged, dragged down into the grave. Rosin goes down as well. And that means a big old lead for the Bisons this time around. They bring the goal back to even. They'll get the shove in mid lane. And they're coming right back into this game. 6-2 is that Jace.
And that was Bisons fighting under their own terms. They pull down the TPs, they split apart Anonymo, and they take them out one by one. Mid lane tower as well. Look at the gold lead, extending 1.1k for the Jace, random 6-2 and 0, 1.4k for the Jarvan. You see, they had a huge gold lead. He swung back around, and now it's dead even. Let's look at the replay again, because it all starts by Neramin feel like he's pretty safe to push that top side, but he really isn't. No Name has got him in the Cataclysm. Merwin also pops in, and Neramin gets a seat for so long from their can that he doesn't even get the chance to ult. And once your AD carry is down, then your support dies, and Prime makes a pretty good run for it, but it's just no good enough. And Royzen right here tries to get him a jail-free card, but then he walks a little bit too far forward, and he also ends up dying to Random.
And in the end, you lose absolutely everybody onto the Baron. In the picture-in-picture we go. Just maybe, I'm beginning to smell some burgers, Trouble.
Prime is on the way bot lane, though, and he has no teleport to join them.
That's true.
So Bisons, for now, they're 4 versus 5.
And they can look potentially for the turn. Savro is off the back of the pit, has ult, has flash, so can definitely get in here to contest. And Bisons can't quite find what they were looking for, so they know they've got the damage at least. They're not going to be too unhealthy doing it with the Karma behind them to shield them up. They decide against the flip, and I think that's probably the safer choice.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty good idea, honestly, because you see Prime down the bot lane. You know that he just defeated in the fight that we saw previously, so he doesn't have the summoner spell to actually get into this fight. So it was a pretty good one to try and force Irelia off of the side lane, try to recollect themselves. By recollect, that means restart the Baron. No, it's not going to be the case. Noname is going to back off of that as well. But Savero needs to come around to try and check this. Oh my god, they might catch him here.
Try, can't quite make it stick. But they are violently fighting over their vision control. They'd love to make sure that the back end of this jungle is theirs to control as Mirwin. Gonna throw down another one of those W's, but can't quite stick it all the way to completion. Neriman down to about just over half of his HP bar. And then dodges out on the Xerath skill shots, and it's just a bit of a force in mid lane. The shock blasts are landing, the Xerath stuff isn't.
28 seconds now for the Dragon, and Bisons have pretty good control towards that bot side of the map. They're gonna take the resets right now. You have Jace towards the bot side of the map pushing. You've got Jarvan, he's gonna be getting there pretty shortly, 13 seconds. And as you can see, OAE do not have any setup other than the Scuttlecraft that's on top of the Dragon pretty much. They do not have any more setup. They're pinging Baron though. Bisons are pinging Baron. They're like, give away the Dragon. It's only a Cloud Drake after all. I know Cloud Drake delivers, whatever, but it's only Cloud Drake after all. Run it for the Baron. They're gonna TP in random. Bisons are onto the Baron. Can they be stopped though? Gypsy is around, but he's only around.
Soul secured by Orbit Anonymo, but now the Baron being rushed is going down very, very fast. This Kai'Sa, this Jace got enough damage to shred it. Savro trying to get here close, but it's just not going to be enough in time, surely. Can it be soloed by the Xerath? No, it can't. Legolas desperately low. My god, just about burns out. Leandries, does it work? And now Bisons, they need to escape. They need to retreat. I don't know whether they can. That's a missed ult from Savro. He doesn't know they're in the pit. He thought they were there. It doesn't happen. Now Savro is going to run them down with the Kai'Sa's body, but can't get any more. Just about escapes.
That was an incredible plan from Bisons. They were pinging the Baron before Dragon even spawned. They knew exactly their plan. Gypsy has found himself for a win. No, he hasn't.
Neriman will go up into the air. The feathers go flying. Will pull them back. Won't get too much more than a route that Noname buffers out of with a flag and a drag. Big accelerated shot blast into Risen. Will trade back the Autobotables. Noname can't quite make it stick with the flag, and drag has to flash back on out. Thought he saw an angle, couldn't make it work.
Anonymo here trying to be extremely, extremely aggressive, trying to burn through these waves before the Baron that Bisons come through. Gypsy has been caught there from Noname.
Oh, not again, surely not. Taken very low, but Noname is the one who's in trouble. Goes down, goes into the backside, and now he's in trouble. Will just about get out. And now what can the Ultra Liga representatives do? Can they find something more? A route on Savro prevents too much more follow-up. Cloud Soul, oh no, if you're rooted, you're moving nowhere.
That is way too close for comfort. If Savero takes Rakan Soul here, he can continue the fight.
Prime does find the Vanguard dead, but it's deleted! Random just puts him in the dirt! And now Kai'Sa's free firing as well. Another route comes on through. Savro is dead! And there's no bodies to steal because his own is a corpse.
Very, very well played. You thought you adapted the skirmish style, Anonymo. Bisons were absolutely born in it. Oh my god! Legolas with the snipe and dive right there on the Kai'Sa. Great stuff.
His Alphys saw glory.
Another 4 members down from the set of Anonymo, and it's only 1k gold difference in favor of Bisons. This game could not be any closer. Skirmishes and chaos is what's been happening since the very beginning of this game. And let's look at this one again, because Gypsy is very low and Noname thinks he's going in for the pick, but no one else is looking at Gypsy. It's only Noname. They're looking for dead.
Neramin in the Cataclysm does have the ult. Is trying to hold on to it for as long as they can. Finally goes into the air. Skirmishes does get that quickness, though. Neramin alive. Will get down No Name. Gypsy coming on over. Random is finally here, but it might be too little. It might be too late. Out comes that right of the arcane. The barrage from the Xerath begins to land onto Legolas. He's burning down again. Just about survived, but not long enough for Zavro to claim his corpse. They're trying to kill him up, but he will finally ult away to safety. And Bisons, yeah, they might be molded by the gas, but they've been taken over by it too. And Ultra League's #1 seed throw a punch right back in their faces. Milwin will finally fall. Rurison gets that one. And there's no Baron to take, but with all these members down, they can look at some of these waves and try and get a structure or two at the tier 2 level.
Okay, Superliga fans, this is not the worst. They can't end right now. They do not have the waves, unfortunately for the Ultra League. Neramin, No Name has had a target on him the entire time. He's been rooted in place, has to ult that, gets Rakan ulted on top, but no one can finish him off. Random is not there to put the last nail on Neramin's coffin. And as you can see, the second Xerath joins. This amount of damage is so obnoxious to deal with. You have Viego diving into the backline, grabbing the Kai'Sa soul as well, getting out of dodge. Random kills the AD carry, then dies himself. And Bison's running for the heals, of course. Anonymo get a pretty good and favorable fight for them. But again, no objectives on the map. They couldn't get any towers because they had no waves. They couldn't end the game because they had no waves. So we're back to dead even.
Don't know how even it'll be, though, as Milwin is being jumped on. That Karma, well, turns out she's been on the wrong side of her own namesake. Deleted there. Locket shield or no. Regular shields for her abilities or no. Now down 100 CS as well to prime his Flame Horizon. I don't think that's entirely a surprise, but now the Karma's just not working out. The shove continues. You don't need a Baron quite yet when you can just walk at these towers and take them.
Again, Random is not even there. He was in the top lane.
Gypsy gets the 2-man ult. Legolas trying to turn some damage around, and the backline goes No Name, but he is deleted. He is put down. The Cataclysm just puts him in a Thunderdome with Neramin, who wins that one these days. Those feathers are damn sharp, and they are flying true. Neramin down to half HP, though, as he takes the wrong end of some shock blasts. Random and Legolas are still very scary. No ultimate available for Legolas. No need to go on a killer instinct. Random desperately trying to continue to push these waves out, desperately trying to ensure nothing more can happen. They're recalling an award where Severo will get out for free, and then the inhibitor turrets, rather, stay standing, at least for now.
Yeah, what's not going to be staying standing is in 30 seconds, Elder Dragon spawns. It's a very early Elder Dragon, 28 minutes in. And let's take a stock.
It's another
Thank you for another LPL graph. But let's take a stock of what items all of these champions are going to come out of the base with, because this is going to be a very, very crucial fight. We've got 3 items. Sterak's very importantly completed. The Jackshot completed for Prime as well. Extra tanky Irelia. We've got 4 items on the side of Neramin, and the Death Cap not quite there yet for Roizen, which could be the deal breaker. The more damage you do, if you can assassinate someone with the Xerath before the fight even starts, it is huge. On the other hand side, only 3 items onto a Poke Kai'Sa and 3 items onto the Jace. And looking to take control of that mid lane wave.
Yeah, Square tries to get it. Neramin will flash away. This time the ult is beautiful. They don't find he goes on the other side. That Vanguard edge slits the throats of Bisons. They're trying to win it, but Scoring misses the grand entrance over the wall. His entrance is into a 0-3 start to the week. It's not looking good. No Name may be able to recall. Legolas just about survived, but he needs to get back to base. He needs to try desperately, somehow, some way, to hold on to these waves, because I think it might well be the end of the game. Otherwise, he can't get back to base. Maybe he can look at Gypsy, but that's a support. You're not getting any more out of that. The Acathian Rain gets the kill, but he's been delayed. He's been delayed perhaps long enough to lose a Nexus turret or 2.
I can hear them saying, end. They can't come back. They can't force. Look at the job, and he's just back. Legolas all alone. 1v3. What can you do? Nothing.
And just like that, Orbit Anonymo will win the game, stop themselves from going 0-3, and on the other side, Bisons, this team that was made of miracles in the LVP, just can't make it work here on the first day. They are 0-3. It's back to the drawing board.
What a sigh of relief, though, for Anonymo. It sucks going into week 2, into day 2, sorry. 0-3. Getting that one buffer, that one win over Bisons is huge, especially since now Bisons are 0-3. When it comes to a tiebreaker scenario potentially, and you have that one win buffer over them, it's going to be so huge to go ahead through on the tournament. Of course, Superliga coming in, they bring that fiery style. It doesn't necessarily always work. You saw Bisons tried their best. They tried to pretty much bring the chaos over, use it to their advantage. Anonymo were pretty good at adapting to it as well.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And you could sort of see that the poke comp nearly worked. There were some moments when that Jace in particular was hitting like a truck, but you also just saw that eventually the trigger just got pulled so hard. And I kind of just suddenly saw the Xerath was able to support the Aurelia from the other side of the rift, because Aurelia was chasing after this Kai'Sa so many times. And Xerath was throwing out these pinpoint ultimates. Going into these replays, and the bot lane in particular was a bit of a mess early, and OAE managed to pick up a couple really nice kills.
Yeah, and I feel like it was all about the bot lane, right? No Name had a target onto Neramin. Every time he saw that Xayah, he would pull the trigger onto the ultimate. It all started with this particular Rift Herald, where Savera manages to steal that. A lot of damage coming in from a level 11 Xerath, double points onto the ultimate at this point, and you can see how the game started turning around, because Viego thrives on chaos. The more souls he can get, the more he can play forward into these team fights. But right here, Neramin, I criticize him through the game. I don't think the ultimates were particularly sharp in this game. He got caught over and over and over again. And as we will see later on, I feel like the ending fight is what decided the game ultimately. And I think Neramin was a very crucial part of that fight. As we see later on in the highlights as well, his ultimate was pretty much won that one.
I think I've also got to call it out. This has now been a couple drafts in a row from Bisons where they've tried to go cooking, you know? They've tried something a bit experimental, you know?
There you go.
With it. And it's just not quite worked out. And this one in particular, as you were saying, Neramin just plays it so well. And on the other side, the re-engage onto the squishy members was brutal. The Vanguard's edge alongside that Ride of the Arcane, everyone just got deleted.
Oof. Okay, that was a very, very eventful day of League of Legends, honestly. I think Game 5 in particular was insane. Game 6 got so close towards the end as well, the one we just watched. It's gonna get even more spicy, because usually when we go into EMEA Masters, we have our favorites. Yeah, okay, Wildcats are coming in as the former champions. Well, the Portuguese team almost brought them down. Yeah, Portuguese teams don't even make it into groups, right? KC is back. Well, Matchco took them down as well. So forget your favorites. Forget your favorites, because we have a lot of contenders apparently this season. Thank you so much for bringing up the groups production. There you go.
And as you see,
Matchco is 3-0.
Matchco is 3-0. They took down Carmine Core. Natives 1-2. Sadness in my heart, but of course Carmine Core managed to recover after that initial loss. But Matchco, this is another EMEA Masters in a row where they are starting groups real hot. Remember, Desire made it through play-ins as well. PG Nats coming here to play.
Absolutely, and Matchco was our dark horse back in 2023 spring, so the previous EMEA Masters, and they made it all the way to quarterfinals. And now again, they have a pretty good footing at doing it again. Starting your second day as 3-0, the chances are on your side to make it through even a second seed, especially when it's a team 0-3 in your group. And they know to guarantee themselves in almost, they need to win all 3 games.
Indeed. And then turning obviously our eyes to Group A, which we've been covering all day. Wildcats looking good, though I will see GTZ push them. And GTZ right up there as one of the most deadly teams we've seen today. They look really hot, even if they did drop that final game. Of course, we've got to talk about the schedule for tomorrow. We'll be moving over to look at some of these teams. All right, it'll be Alio Bank versus Desire first up. Any of these matches in particular catching your eyes?
Oh, absolutely. I think BK Rogue versus SK Prime. Any LFL team versus any team that looks promising from any top region, such as the Prime League. I think SK Prime have been looking extremely dominant in the Prime League with something like an 80+ 90+% win rate throughout the entire split. And of course, LFL teams will always pose a challenge to any team that goes up against them. So I feel like that would be a match to look up for.
Indeed, and of course, that'll be Group B coverage tomorrow, and I'm also kind of interested to see how Desire turn up and shape. Of course, they are the play-ins team, but, maybe some more upsets to come through. What have you got for me?
Do you like support players?
I think I do. Why are you asking that, Georgia?
Do you think they deserve like an award or an MVP or something like that?
I think maybe they do, but maybe, in fact, we might even have a little segment for that. I mean, I don't know whether we would, but if production have got something, just on hand, make something up on the fly.
Who would you give it to?
Well,
if we had an award, who would you give it to?
There was this pretty crazy Alistair play. Thanks to LVM for sponsoring this one, because you get this incredible little help pulve under the wall. Oh, and observers are smurfing. Pulverize, headbutt, BM galore.
What? That was a very Hylissang death.
It was. It was a very Hylissang Alistair play. Let's be real. That was I could have seen him on that Alistair.
He is the master of trying to save or push away for his AD carry and dying for it. It's like, I died for you. I died so your wave is fixed when you get back to lane. So that was lovely.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Well, unfortunately, Georgia, it is our time to say goodbye for the day. That ends the first day of EMEA Masters group coverage. Initialized been trouble, but from myself, from Georgia, from the rest of the broadcast team, we wish you a wonderful rest of the day. And we'll see you back tomorrow, 5 p.m. CET time for some more action. It is Group B we're covering, so don't you miss anything. We'll see you there.
gelişim değil. Ama bu defa onları yerle bir etmek için buradayım.
Alles stand in Flammen. Aber jetzt ist die Zeit für Rache. Napotkajem na swojej drodze wiele trudności, jednak tym razem nic mnie nie powstrzyma. ¿Quieres demostrar al resto? Que es un brillante.
On vous a manqué. Il est temps de reprendre ce qui nous appartient.